Alright, so I have a question. Do you think Cassie holds any accountability, responsibility in her actions when it comes to Diddy? Another question I want to ask is, do you think Diddy is really going to go to jail? I'm going to answer those questions throughout this video. Also touching upon her husband, Alex, because I don't think he is who everybody thinks he is. A lot of people paint him as a white knight hero, but I don't see it that way. I'll get into the details about why also. Now, let's start with the whole entire, does Cassie hold any accountability? Now, just like the rest of the world, when we saw the video of Cassie getting kicked down, thrown around, and everything else, we were all surprised and thinking Diddy is a monster. Diddy needs to be in jail. Diddy just needs to go away. And in a sense, I still do agree with that. He shouldn't have done that to Cassie. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. 100%. No matter what the reasoning is. If she was trying to leave, let her leave. And here's the thing that's going against Diddy. If these charges would have came out and that video would have never came out, then it wouldn't have been an issue. Diddy would be fine, and this probably wouldn't have gone to trial now. But what I feel like the feds leaked the video on purpose to skew the perception, because they know whoever they get on that jury trial, when they're doing the questioning and everything else, their opinion is going to automatically be swayed to have a negative opinion about Diddy. And let's be real here, almost everybody is an internet detective, so they're going to do their own research and connect the dots and have them be guilty. And then the charges came down, and here we are. Now, with that being said, I was honestly looking more for what could be a potential RICO. We are all looking for more information, not just hearing about how bad the ups and downs of a relationship between two people are. Now, Cassie does have a questionable dating history when it comes to dating older men. She was dating a producer who was 10 years older than her. Supposedly, they started dating when she was underage. They said they were dating for 3 years, and she met Diddy when she was 19. So, nobody mentions that part, but we'll just move on from there. At least Diddy got her at age. Then she moved on to Diddy, who was, 20 years older than her at the time when they met. And here's the thing. Cassie has something called pretty privilege. She's racially ambiguous. She was a model. So that means she had a nice figure or whatever else. So, of course, she's going to be desired, and she knows that she can use her attractiveness to garner the things that she wants. Now, that's not saying that's a bad or good thing in the sense of Cassie, right? It is how you use those tools. And we act like that we don't know people who are younger that prey upon older men. I myself had a friend who would literally try to go for men who are in their retirement age. I remember she told me she only dates two types of men, black men or men who are retirement. Anybody else is a waste of time to her. And keep in mind, she told me this when we were in our 20s. So yes, women can be predators. Yes, women can take advantage of over men. Yes, women know that for the most part, they hold a power, because if they go out and hold some type of negative opinion or say you did something bad or anything along those lines, they're going to be believed first automatic, because us as a society, especially men, we want to protect and take care of women. We want to make sure they are loved, nurtured. We want to make sure they're protected. So if we hear that a woman is being mistreated or harmed in any way, shape, or form, we're going to do whatever we can to try to make sure they are okay. Now, I mentioned the RICO a little bit a minute ago, and I still am kind of questioning where that was going to go, because I was like, how is just a bad relationship going to get Diddy put in jail? It doesn't make any sense. I felt like at first all of this was a waste of time. So then I did a little bit internet detecting myself. And let's see here. Video is going to
Monday and Tuesday if you have.
And let me go ahead, get that down and go here. Okay. So first, let me see here. I did not know there was a such thing of Office on Violence Against Women, U.S. Department of Justice. I didn't know that was a thing. So this document here is called Federal Violence Against Women Statutes Elements for Federal Prosecution. I'm just going to read the first part. The rest of you can read yourself while I'm reading this if you're looking at it. Or you can go to their website. I got all this through the Department of Justice. www.justice.gov. Violence against women at offenses. First bullet point. Interstate travel to commit domestic violence. Interstate stalking. Interstate travel to violate a protection order. Okay. So I didn't know, and again, this is my own ignorance. I always thought that when it came to DV, that was something that was just held within the states. I didn't realize that could be charged federally. And I didn't also realize that could be charged, if you're charged federally, you could get a lot of time for that. And I'm kind of curious, do a lot of men knew that? Did he know that? If he would have known that and he still moved the way he did, he is really stupid. Now, again, Diddy is scum. I want to make sure I emphasize that enough. Diddy is scum for what he did and how he treated her. However, Cassie has accountability for going back. And when I get into this a little bit later, you'll see what I mean. There's a back and forth feel that the prosecution and the defense did that make it seem like, okay, I see what the prosecution is going for when I'm reading through these points, and I see what the defense is trying to do to try to negate or minimize what the prosecution is trying to do. Now, granted, again, these are the feds. The feds have a habit of not losing cases, so this is going to be interesting. But let's go ahead and how they define DV. Again, I'm on justice.gov, just reviewing this, and gonna go into the little bullet points too. What is DV? DV is a pattern of uses behavior. I'm trying to say it in code best I can. In any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another partner. DV can be physical, sexual, emotional, economical, psychological, or technological actions or threats of actions or other patterns of conceived behavior that influence another person within an intimate partnership. This includes any behaviors that is intimate, manipulate, humiliate, isolate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound someone. Okay. Now, if you go by that particular definition that the government website has, that they can charge somebody with, Diddy did all those. And then on the screen, they have more definitions. And these are things that if you think about it, if you read it, a lot of us has been in these situations and we didn't know about it. A lot of us has been in bad relationships or abusive relationships to where we're just like, oh, I didn't realize I was in that kind of situation. And it's crazy if you really think about it. Let's go into the physical aspect of it. And here, some of these are obvious. Hitting, slapping, shoving, grabbing, pinching, biting, hair pulling, etc. are types of physical abuse. This type of abuse also includes denying a partner medical care or forcing alcohol and or drugs used upon him or her. Now, so far we can tell Cassie hits all those bullet points right there. They went on the stand. They both confirmed of drug use. They both confirmed of physical issues there. She even said she was art. Just saying. Then there's the sexual aspect of it. Coercing or attempting to coerce any sexual contact or behavior without consent. Sexual abuse includes, but is certainly not limited to, mental rape, attack on sexual partners of the body, forced acts after physical violence has occurred or threatened one in a sexually demeaning manner. Again, they are on the stand, or they were on the stand. They admitted Diddy did rape her. Right? I mean, well, he didn't actually, excuse me. I take that back. Diddy did not admit that. Cassie said Diddy did that so far, right? Okay, so we got that part. Attacks on sexual parts of the body. Well, when they brought up the sores around her mouth, that could be considered an attack because she was forced to do all those freak offs. I mean, think about that for a second. She was forced to do all that. So, physical and forcing on the body. Let's go into emotional. Undermining an individual's sense of self-worth and or self-esteem is abuse. This may include, but not is limited to, constant criticism, diminishing one's ability, name calling, or damaging one's relationship with his or her children. Again, that's something else that how many of us have been in those situations and we just never really thought about it. And again, even when Cassie's best friend came out, she said all this. Into it. How do I know? That's just based off what they are saying by the trial and third party. Unfortunately, we can't see it live. So I'm just basically going off what the third party accounts are saying and it's a general consensus. So that's how we do that. How do we know? We truly don't know. And truthfully, there have been times where Cassie did ask for the FOs, right? We all know that. So, and that's what the defense did. At one point, yeah, she was forced, but then they had text messages her asking for it. So it's kind of like a back and forth. Let's see. Psychological. I kind of feel like psychological kind of reiterates the other parts above. So I'm just going to skip over that and go into technological. An act or a pattern of behavior that is intended to harm, threaten, control, stalk, harass, impersonate, exploit, extort, or monitor another persons that occurs using any form of technology, including but not limited to internet-enabled devices, online spaces and platforms, computer, mobile devices, cameras, imaging programs, apps, location, tracking devices, or communication technologies, or any emerging technologies. So that's really crazy there too. So again, this right here kind of opened my eyes to some of my past relationships I was in personally. I was like, you know what? I was in some pretty crappy relationships. And despite some of these definitions here, they will be considered abusive. So how many of these can the feds actually get her on? That's the real question there, right? Because every single time they have something that come out, the defense is ready and they have something to counter and say against it. And that's what's so interesting about this. And because it's in federal court, that's why we're not able to see it live. Because it's unfortunate we got to rely on third-party reports of bloggers, news stations, going back and forth, because a lot of them have biases, or they choose to miss out on information, or just leave it out completely. Let's see. And now, what I also went ahead and did, I just went to ChatGPT because I was just curious how much time could a person get depending on how much, what they were charged with. Because again, today I was 8 years old when I learned that there's a such thing as felony DV, and you got to think about it. These FOs happen across state lines, and that's why the feds got involved. So I know we're technically in week 2, the first day of week 2. I'm hoping that we get more information about how this really connects to a RICO, to the nitty gritty details. And I'll get into that in a minute here in a second, but let's see. Where is it? Okay. Assault in a second degree, class D felony, causing serious physical injury, or using a deadly weapon. Now, according to what came out today, that Cassie's best friend said that he, hit her and all this other kind of stuff. And there's pictures and videos all over it. So a class D felony, if you go down here, class D felony up to 7 years. Let's see. Strangulation, I don't think that really applies to him. Let's see. Violating a protection order. Again, when she left, he left her alone. So that's the only thing I really see. Well, I'm not sure about the breathing and blood circulation part of it, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, so far right now is not a RICO. It is showing a lot of forms of abuse. I will give you that. But if they get him on a couple Class D felonies, those years can add up pretty quick, unless they find a way to get it. He's not being charged with DV. However, what normally ends up happening is if you try to charge somebody with something and you notice that they're not going to get it, let's say the Trayvon Martin case. If you remember that case, they was trying to get George Zimmerman to what was it, a second class felony murder, I want to say. But then what ended up happening towards the end, when they realized that they weren't going to get the conviction they wanted to do it, move it down to involuntary manslaughter. However, they haven't developed their case to really justify that charge, and that got thrown out, and George Zimmerman is free. So even though they're not charging him with DV, let's say if they cannot get the RICO to stick, they can still try to get him for his treatment of Cassie. At least that's my opinion of it. That's what I'm seeing with it. And thank you for into it. So with that being said, do I think Cassie is completely innocent? No. There have been plenty of messages that said that she went back. She asked for the FOs. There is, and let's not forget her treatment of Kim Porter. Cassie is not some saint, but like I mentioned in the beginning, that she is a case study of somebody with pretty privilege. And whenever we see a pretty woman that is being misused and mistreated, she gets a lot more leeway for the accountability of her actions. Now, you could be a victim and be accountable. You could be accountable and still be a victim, right? You could be accountable that you made a bunch of bad choices. You didn't have to cheat on your husband. And that's the thing I want to touch on there. Now I brought up the cheat on her husband part. Now, here's the thing about Cassie. She cheated on her boyfriend that she was with for 10 years to be with Diddy. She was with Diddy for a while, cheated on him a few times, okay? Left Diddy, got with her husband, cheated on her husband. And went back to Diddy and did more freak offs after the point. Now, let me ask you a question. And I want to be really honest, whoever is listening to this and whenever you do see this. And if you're a woman, I want you to be honest with me with this. If you had a son and he met a Cassie, a woman who is quote unquote famous, that is quote unquote should be wealthy and well off. However, she has a lot of issues. She has a lot of diseases. Allegedly. It's not really alleged. You have sores in your mouth. That's got to be a disease or something. A lot of diseases. A lot of abuse. Right? A lot of infidelity issues. Would you want your son to be with a woman like that? Would you want your son to go through that heartache and pain? You see, what I'm seeing is mainly a lot of women making excuses and not making Cassie accountable for her actions. And that's what I don't like to hear. Again, she could be a victim, but we can still hold her accountable. And she made horrible choices that got her to where she is right now. But nobody's really saying that. I know personally, if I had a son, and if he was with a Cassie, I would say, leave that girl alone. She's going to drag you down. But here's the reason why I don't think Alex is the great man that everybody thinks he is. Any man worth his salt is not going to stay for that, right? Any real, genuine man is not going to stay around and get cheated on, have his life threatened, just for love. Especially when the woman you quote unquote love is clearly in love with another person. So much so to the point that she went back to him after y'all got together and did a freak off. So not only did she cheat with her ex, but her ex sent multiple men. Think about that for a second. I know if my woman went behind my back, seen her ex, and even gave him a hug, we're done. We're done. What are you saying here into it? The only thing we don't talk about is this case is the money. Actually, they did bring up the money. They brought up how she settled with Diddy. I think she got 20 million. And then the hotel, she's getting another 10 million from there. And that came out recently. So, or she got that settlement from them recently of $10 million. So she's getting her money. Now there's an argument there that she was in a bad deal and she should have got more money from a record deal, especially since she had 10 album, 10 record deal. That was kind of predatory, whatever. That's just bad business on her part. And that sucks. You hear all those kind of stories about people in the music industry back then before the age of TikTok. So what does Alice Fine want? Alice Fine wants money. He wants opportunity. You got to think about it. Alice Fine was just a personal trainer. That's it. Personal trainers, their salary can go up and down. If they have celebrity clients, then sure, they can make a lot of money. Up in the hundreds, thousands. But it's not going to match being with a woman who is broken, that you see that she has the potential to earn millions upon millions. And let's be real here. Cassie has already gained $30 million through this whole entire ordeal. And she's pregnant right now. So let's say if she does choose to get back into the music industry, she's going to have an overpouring amount of support because she already does now. And Alice is already seen as the white knight hero. To me, he's just a damn fool. You don't sit here and be disrespected like that. There is ulterior motive there. And the fact that nobody is talking about it is driving me crazy. He's no hero. He's an opportunist. The guy is 6 years younger than her. I think he's like 24 right now, I want to say. Or he's in his 20s. He's no hero. I guarantee you, if Cassie was not who she was and who she was connected to and had an opportunity to get the money that she could, he wouldn't be there. He wouldn't sit there and get cheated on for an average woman that worked at a bank or a hospital. If he did, there's something mentally wrong with him. Well, anyways, so that was just my point of this particular video. I didn't get too deep divey conspiracy theorists into this. I just wanted to really give my opinions on it because I was thinking to myself, this doesn't make sense. Yes, Cassie was done wrong, but let's hold her accountable for her own dumb choices. It's not hard. But into it, I appreciate your interaction. Go ahead and subscribe, man. Let's play this video real quick that I looked at that was kind of interesting.
Monday and Tuesday, if you had to ask me, I would say, man, Diddy just, oh my goodness, he just took this 19, 20-year-old girl. She was at a very, precious stage, and he just took that and, pretty much defiled her innocence. That's what I would have thought Monday and Tuesday. But Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, or the end part of the case, when we have to really go into some of the other evidence that really show that Cassie was just as complicit. Even if we say, oh, well, she was just doing that because she wanted to get Diddy's attention. That's not an excuse.
You know what? I forgot to mention that part. She literally say that she continued doing these FOs, these free calls, because she didn't want to see Diddy doing them with anybody else. She wanted that attention. She wanted that love. And in fact, we wouldn't be in trial right now. You wouldn't see this case right now if Diddy just would have treated her with a little bit more respect. If Diddy would have took her out on a few dates, if Diddy would have made dinner for her, or Diddy would just, I don't know, bought her flowers from time to time, we wouldn't be here. The fact I think she had the realization one day she was no more. Turn your mic on. My mic's not on? Can you hear me now? All right. Let me see here. Let me go ahead and finish out this video right quick because she pretty much said some good points that I didn't really realize before. Ready to go.
That is not a valid excuse. All of these things of why you do certain things and then at the end have buyer's remorse, all of that is a lack of accountability. And again, her being able to get up there and tell her story and lay out every gruesome, embarrassing account, because there's some things, even myself, I'm like, it's just gonna be me and the Most High that knows this. I think most of us know that there are some things that we have done in our past and we just like, listen, it's just gonna be between me and you, Father. So for her to get up and give her account, nobody can take away the empowerment that she said she felt. There are things that, she may needed to confront. This is what happens when you play with demons and then you want to push through these demons. However, you pushing through and coming out on the other end, you can't. It's almost like Alice at the end when she get out of Wonderland and she gets back into reality. It's almost like if Alice was to say, well, I really didn't want to go down the rabbit hole. But you did. Okay? And sometimes when you go down that rabbit hole, you can't come back out the way you went in. You got to go all the way through. And this is what Cassie did. Now, kudos to her. No one is taken away from that. But there is a level of accountability. And just looking at it and saying, if I'm just looking at this very week, I can't say, oh my goodness, Diddy just did Cassie in. No, Cassie allowed a level of her own victimhood. And sometimes you can get in so deep, you don't know how to get out. This is why you have to know you have to spot red flags and get out when it's time to get out.
Now, I couldn't have said it any more perfect myself of what she said just then. Like I was mentioning before, oh, by the way, if you're watching, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate it. But like I was saying before, this case has done nothing for me to be like, yeah, RICO charge. Diddy needs to go away forever. This is more like, okay, this is a really bad DV case. Cassie needs help, probably mental help. Yeah, Diddy should go away for putting his hands on her the way he did. But there was just a lot of bad choices on Cassie's part. And I hate to see how so many people are so quick to be unaccountable and support her. You will never find you a Alex Fine as a woman. Because realistically speaking, if you go out there and make a lot of bad choices, I seriously doubt you're going to find a man that's going to sit there and stand by. It's like, you know what? Your past is your past. I'm fine with it. And then you go on, y'all get together and you go cheat on him twice. Excuse me, I'll take it back. I'll say once, because supposedly, allegedly, the first time was forced upon Diddy's part, but she went back the next day. And then had a freak off after that. You can't make this stuff up. They always say real life is stranger than fiction. This is a prime example right here. But this is the recap. Cassie, yes, she was harmed. She is a victim in a sense. However, she needs to be accountable. I'm so tired of people making it seem like Cassie is just an angelic victim that was corrupted. No, she was already doing stuff. She was already using her looks to get her into better stations, to get elevated up. Alex is not a white knight. He's an opportunist. He's going to sit here and use all of this to his advantage. And on top of that, if you think about it, he got her impregnated with 3 kids. He got her impregnated with 3 kids. 3. So if he leaves her, he can make an argument. Hey, she cheated on me. Hey, she's mentally ill. Hey, she's been through all this trauma. I want the kids. I want child support, and I want half because I supported her through all this time. Think about it. You're a personal trainer that don't have a single dime to your name. You support a woman who goes through all her trauma, cheat on you multiple times. What judge, if you choose to leave her because you got fed up and tired of it, or you just like, you know what, the trauma of the trial just reopened so many old wounds, and I just decided to leave her because of all the stuff she admitted to on stand. What judge or what lawyer wouldn't take that case, and what judge would be like, you know what, that's fair. Cassie, pay him $10 million. You know, and that's, I say 10 million because that's half of what she got for the settlement from Diddy. And, you know, the other 10 is hers. Cassie paid for his room. Cassie paid for alimony. Cassie paid for his legal fees. I see it. I can see the play. Because Alex ain't shit. I'm just going to call it for what it is. He ain't. And for all y'all celebrating him, is sending a bad message. Because I say it, I'll say this again till I'm blue in the face. Would you want your son to date a Cassie? Be honest. If your son introduced a woman to you that had all the issues that Cassie had, the history that Cassie has, and again, this is not you trying to live out your hot girl summer fantasies, whatever you want to call it. Would you legit want your son to be with a woman like that? If you say yes, then your kids are doomed. I'm just going to keep it real. Oh, man. But yeah, anyways, I can see Diddy so far, being charged with a few Class D felonies. Again, that can hold up to, 7+ years, depending how they do it. Congruent, consecutive, whatever. He has been in jail for almost a year now, I want to say, I think. Let me see. Okay, so it hasn't been a year. It's been about that's about 7 months. So, I mean, I can see them trying to make sure he gets time served, plus whatever extra time he's going to get. Because I feel like he's going to get charged with something. How much time is the real question there, right? Yeah, but Cassie got immunity. And the question was, if Diddy is guilty, so is Cassie. I don't disagree with that statement. But with that being said, though, she has immunity. She has the court of public opinion on her side. And here, let me play this other video right here. Should she get charged herself? Well, look at it like this. To me, Diddy and Cassie is like Jeffrey and what was her name? Elaine Maxwell, I think. That's how I see them. Let's listen to this video too.
Another bombshell that came out today in Cassie's testimony was that before the intercontinental freak-off that we've all seen the video from, she initiated the freak-off in the text message. But here's what's interesting. She had testified originally that she didn't want to do it because she had her music premiere. However, there is a text message where she tells him, we can make it a short freak-off. We just need to be there for a few hours. We can take Valium and hydrate afterwards so that way we can continue on.
Like what? And that's what I mean. When you hear stuff like that, and again, we gotta rely on third-party accounts because we can't see it live. People who actually get to be inside there in the courtrooms, right? And when you hear stuff like that, why are so many people sympathetic to her? Like, I don't understand it. For the life of me, I do not understand it. If you're watching at this point, go ahead and subscribe. Clearly, you must like my voice or something. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. But anyways, I really don't have too much more to say on the subject. I just want to give that out. And, you know, it's pretty clear and evident if you go and watch some of the recounts of it that Cassie still has a lot of love for Diddy. And if you want me really honest here, I think this is really just her going through all this in some sense. Was this a pressure by her husband? Because he wanted to get compensated in some way, shape, or form for everything he had to deal with. Just like how we all thought Cassie was completely innocent and she was taken advantage of and all this other kind of stuff. And the more details that came out, her public image diminished a lot by a lot of people. Even some women started to turn on her. Anyways, I'm done for now. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it like always. Thank you again. Have a good night.